Welcome back to another episode of Toy Tuesdays. I'm Talent, the X-centric collector, and today we are going to be wrapping up the X-Men 97 Wave 1 with Storm. And yes, there are three other characters. We had Wolverine, Gambit, and Rogue, which I did not get because I did what some collectors do sometimes, and I gambled on it to see if maybe the price would drop, and the exact opposite happened. We will be doing a whole show on collecting and taking those risks, but for now, let's wrap up X-Men 97 Wave 1 with Storm. Let's get into it.
Cerebro activate.
Cerebro online.
Access file Storm 2023.
Accessing file. Storm 2023. Storm, Overworld and Rogue. First appearance, Giant Size X-Men number 1. May 1975. Created by Len Wein, writer. Dave Cockrum, artist.
Storm was an orphan growing up on the streets of Africa as a pickpocket. She was under the control of the devious Shadow King. Later, she ended up being worshipped as a goddess by a tribe in Africa, which is where Professor Xavier ended up recruiting her to join his second generation of X-Men, to save his first generation of X-Men. Her first appearance was in Giant Size X-Men number 1. After joining the X-Men, she has been a staple ever since. Sometime after being on the team, she challenged Cyclops for leadership, which she won. Eventually, she was the leader of the Gold Team, and that is my favorite team of X-Men, if I haven't said it already. From the early days of the original animated series all the way through X-Men 97, Storm is not just an integral part of the team, but probably the most powerful member. Out of all the characters in the modern show, Storm probably has the deepest arc of all the characters. Having gone from goddess status to normal human, back to goddess, she definitely had the wildest ride out of all of them, in my opinion. Cerebro, can you please pull up the action figure?
Storm, X-Men 97 Wave 1, released in 2023. Retail price, $24.99. Aftermarket price, high, $39.99. Low, $16.53. Accessories, 2 alternate hands.
This figure is one of 3 that I was actually able to get from the wave. This was one I waited on, hoping the price would go down, but after noticing that Wolverine, Gambit, and Rogue prices weren't coming down, and me seeing that this was still available at retail, I scooped it up. This figure is a fantastic addition to the collection because she is a pinless Storm. Unfortunately, she only came with the 2 additional hands. In my opinion, this entire first wave was completely lacking in accessories. It's great to have this mohawk-headed Storm, but I would really like them to add an additional animated head with the long hair, and some lightning effects. Fortunately, I have many other Storms, so if I really want to give her an alternate head, I can, and the fact that this one is pinless makes her an invaluable figure in my collection at this point. Overall, with the modern pinless technology, the amazing articulation that figures have nowadays, I think this is a fantastic Storm and a great addition to anybody's collection. I highly recommend, if you're looking for a Storm, pick this one up, and then later down the road when you get other Storms, you can swap out heads if you don't like the mohawk. Storm had many amazing moments in X-Men 97 Season 1, but my favorite has to be in Season 1, Episode 1. From the very first episode, it started off, and we got to see Storm's true power. As Cyclops pushes his communicator and calls for the forecast, Storm walks through the desert, turning the sand to glass with lightning, and proceeds to destroy a gang of Sentinels all by herself. It really set the tone for the series, as well as showing off Storm's power, and also served to show what a loss it would be if she didn't have her powers and was not part of the team. Speaking of powers, Cerebro, can you please pull up the powers and abilities?
Powers and abilities, Atmokinesis, Flight, Ecological Empathy, Temperature and Pressure Resistance, Skilled Armed and Unarmed Combatant.
Storm's main power is Atmokinesis. Almost all of her other powers are derived from that. Atmokinesis is basically just a fancy way of saying weather control. So let's break this down a little. Just through thoughts, Storm can summon lightning, hurricanes, tornadoes, rain, sleet, snow, anything involved with the weather that you can think of, she can conjure. The ability to control the wind also gives her the ability to fly. The ecological empathy is basically her ability to feel the environment around her. Her temperature and pressure resistance allows her to fly into the upper atmosphere without having any sort of repercussions. Storm is considered an Omega level mutant because her powers can affect the entire planet. In some issues of the comics, it was seen that her powers can actually even be used in outer space. Storm's ability to manipulate weather is not just restricted to Earth. It's been shown that she can actually control the natural forces in cosmic storms, solar wind, and electromagnetic fields. Like most mutant powers, there is a downside. Storm's power is directly connected to her emotions, so if she loses control, entire continents might suffer hurricanes or worse. She most commonly uses tornadoes and lightning when she's battling on Earth, as well as raising or lowering the temperature to overcome whatever enemy she is fighting. When Storm is at her best, there are few foes that can stand in her way, as we can see in X-Men 97, Episode 1. Beyond Storm's incredible mutant powers, she is also an excellent armed and unarmed combatant. She's an excellent marksman and proficient in the use of knives. Her hand-to-hand combat skills helped her to overcome the physically stronger foes like Callisto and the Crimson Commando. And Storm is one of the most formidable X-Men there is, whether she has the use of her powers or not. Alright, let's take a closer look at these powers. Cerebro, can you please access the power grid?
Accessing power grid. Analyzing subject.
These power grids can be found on the Marvel Metal cards, or if you would like an alternative power grid, which is slightly different than the Marvel Metal cards which I've been going on, you can go to marvel.fandom.com and check it out there. First up on the power grid is Strength. She is at a 2. Normal human strength. Totally makes sense. Just take one look at her. She looks like a normal human, and she is a normal human when it comes to strength. And we are strictly basing that just on normal human strength, like a person trying to go over to something and lift it up. She's just as strong as you or me. I guarantee you when she's using her powers, though, that is not the case. She summons a tornado, she's going to be able to lift an entire building if she wanted to. But then again, it's not really her doing it, is it? In that case, it's really her power that's doing the heavy lifting. On to intelligence. Whether it be street smarts or school smarts, Storm has both. Having grown up an orphan on the streets and then becoming a leader of an X-Men team, multiple X-Men teams at that, Storm is a very smart woman. And like we've said in the past, it takes a smart person to lead a team. On to speed. She is at a 4, world-class sprinter. Now I can't say for a fact whether or not this is directly related to her powers. I'd assume she is probably fast just on her feet. You add her wind riding power, and that would probably boost her up a little more. But just as it is, without using her actual mutant powers, Storm is one fast lady. On to fighting ability, also at a 4, world heavyweight champ. And this makes sense. As I stated earlier, she has beaten some incredibly talented fighters, such as Callisto, which she fought hand to hand to win control over the Morlocks. There were whole comic book runs where Storm was without her powers, and she was still a formidable opponent. Alright, let's go on to stamina. She's at a 3, athletic. Totally makes sense. The Danger Room can do that to just about anybody. With enough time and training, anybody can be athletic, and Storm is definitely that. Being athletic also helps with her mutant abilities because her power is directly related to her mood. So if she starts getting weighed down, if she starts getting tired, then her power will wane as well. So being athletic helps Storm create those incredibly powerful storms. On to the next one, agility. Storm is at a surprising 4, Olympic gold medalist gymnast. Again, this doesn't surprise me. You train enough in the Danger Room, you're going to become an agile individual. You mix that in with her ability to fly, it probably makes her one of the more agile X-Men that there is. On to the last one, and her highest on the power grid, energy projection. She is at a 5, fission, atomic, beyond grenades, lasers, and Patriot missiles. She can generate lightning blasts so powerful, the energy output is equivalent to an atomic blast. You definitely do not want to get in a fight with her and get blasted by those lightning blasts. To sum up her stats here, She is well above average, with an above average intellect, well above average speed and fighting ability, as well as agility. Her energy projection definitely pushes her over the top. It's no wonder Storm was made leader of the X-Men. And in X-Men 97, she really shows her chops. Overall, Storm is one of the most well-rounded mutants, and it's obvious to see why she has been made leader. If I were putting Storm on a team, she would be the leader, guaranteed. And regardless of the situation, whether it's full-on combat, stealth, you name it, Storm can do it all. And although I'll take her in any uniform, be it black leather, or gray, silver, white, or black uniform, this white suit Storm is definitely one of my favorite iterations, and the Mohawk is definitely styling. Cerebro, do we have anything else before we go?
Be sure to check out X-Men 97 Reactions with Talent. Don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you for mentioning it again. Yes, please do, folks. Watch X-Men 97. The reactions that we have done are all up. They're there for you to watch. Please go watch them. And don't forget to subscribe. It definitely helps the channel. So that does it for this week. I'm Talent, reminding you, keep collecting. And until next time, Excelsior!